As a physician who has spent decades working with adults over 60, I want to start with a simple truth that most people don't hear often enough. Your brain can still change, strengthen, and adapt at any age if you give it the right kind of work. The single most overlooked daily habit that supports this change is not a supplement, not an expensive device, and not a complicated app. It is the structured act of recalling your own real experiences and expressing them out loud in clear language. This is not creative writing, and it is not entertainment. It is a medical-grade exercise for the memory system, and it costs nothing but 10 focus minutes a day. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to do it step by step, how to avoid the 2 common mistakes that sabotage it, and how to combine it with sleep, movement, blood pressure control, hearing and vision care, and stress management, so you get the most benefit possible. Before we get practical, it helps to understand what is and isn't normal. It is common to walk into a room and forget why you went there, to lose a name and remember it later, or to need an extra beat to find a word. Those changes can reflect normal aging. What is not normal is rapid loss of function, getting lost in familiar places, major personality change, or a sudden inability to manage medications or finances. Any abrupt, progressive, or worrisome change deserves medical evaluation. If you are concerned, speak with your clinician. Nothing in this video is a diagnosis or a replacement for care. What I'm offering you is a daily, evidence-aligned routine that strengthens the very networks aging challenges first. Your memory is not a filing cabinet, and your brain is not a static machine. It is a living network that remodels in response to use. When you recall a real event and speak it clearly, you ask the hippocampus to locate the memory trace, the prefrontal cortex to organize and sequence it, language regions to convert it into words, auditory areas to monitor it as you speak, and emotion regulation circuits to keep you calm and focused. This is whole network activation. Compared to passively watching a video or idly scrolling a phone, it is a workout. Compared to many brain games, it is more complete because it trains retrieval, organization, language, and self-referential thinking at the same time. That combination is exactly what everyday life demands. Finding information in your mind, putting it in order, saying it clearly, and regulating your state while you do it. Another concept that matters is the difference between storing information and retrieving it. Most people try to improve memory by consuming more content. That is like trying to get stronger by looking at pictures of weights. Retrieval is the muscle contraction of memory. When you pull information up without looking at it, you strengthen the pathway. When you restructure that information into coherent language, you reinforce the pathway again. When you repeat this across days, you benefit from spacing, a learning principle showing that a little effort repeated over time creates more durable changes than one long effort. This is why 10 minutes of focused narrative recall each day outperforms an occasional marathon of puzzles and passive learning. Emotion's role is practical, not sentimental. Autobiographical recall is emotionally meaningful by design, because the subject is your own life. That meaning recruits attention. The brain saves what it believes matters, and it decides what matters by looking at the energy you give it. When you select a genuine health-related moment and describe it precisely, you direct energy to a target that preserves your identity and function. You are not telling a performance story, and you are not borrowing anyone else's. You are engaging your nervous system with your own data, which is the most relevant material your brain can process. Social connection amplifies the effect. Cognitive decline is accelerated by isolation, and speech is the bridge back to engagement. Speaking out loud to a family member, caregiver, or friend strengthens attention and listening on both sides, but you can still get benefit if you practice alone. If you live by yourself or prefer privacy, a voice memo on your phone is enough. The key is to speak, not just think. Silent recall activates less language circuitry than voiced recall. If you are unable to speak comfortably, writing in full sentences captures much of the same benefit. So pick the method that fits your situation and health. Stress management is part of the method. High, unregulated stress impairs memory consolidation and retrieval. You do not need a complicated routine to address this. 2 calm breaths in through the nose, a slow breath out through the mouth, and a gentle relaxation of the shoulders before you begin your recall session is sufficient to set your nervous system into a more receptive state. Lower arousal makes it easier for the prefrontal cortex to organize what you want to say and for the hippocampus to retrieve it. People often underestimate how much a calmer body improves a clearer mind. Sleep is the other half of memory work. Deep, slow-wave sleep stabilizes new information, and rapid eye movement sleep helps integrate that information into existing networks. Evening recall, done calmly and finished at least an hour before bed, can prime the brain to organize and store the material overnight. If evening is not practical, morning works as well. The important part is consistency. A routine your brain can expect and prepare for will outperform irregular bursts of effort. Hearing and vision are frequently ignored, yet they matter. If you cannot hear clearly, the brain must spend extra effort deciphering sounds, leaving fewer resources for memory and language organization. If your vision is uncorrected, reading notes or reviewing prompts is harder than it needs to be. Treating hearing loss and maintaining proper eyeglass prescriptions reduce cognitive load. Less load means more capacity for recall practice. If you have been putting off an exam, consider scheduling it. Small changes in input quality produce large changes in mental energy. Cardiometabolic health also supports memory. The brain runs on oxygen and glucose delivered by healthy blood vessels. Walking most days of the week, choosing a balanced plate rich in vegetables, legumes, and healthy fats, staying hydrated, and keeping blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol in your personal target ranges all improve blood flow to memory structures. You do not have to be perfect. Even modest improvements in movement and diet produce cognitive benefits. The recall routine I'm about to give you slots easily beside a short daily walk and a consistent bedtime, forming a realistic care plan you can sustain. Here is how to practice in a way that is simple, safe, and effective. Choose one real event each day and speak it aloud for 10 minutes. Keep it health-related to anchor your focus and to protect your energy. An event can be as straightforward as the day you received the diagnosis and what you did next. The first time you set up a medication organizer and how you decided on a system, the morning you adjusted your breakfast to better manage blood sugar, the way you learned to use a home blood pressure cuff correctly, the experience of adding a daily walk and how you picked a route, or the decision to schedule a screening and the steps you took to follow through. You are not embellishing and you are not dramatizing. You are rehearsing real actions that define your competence and reinforcing the neural patterns that support independence. To make those 10 minutes more powerful, follow a consistent internal structure. Begin with the date or approximate time period to give your memory a frame. Then state the health goal or decision at stake in a single clear sentence. Describe the cues that made the decision necessary in plain terms, such as symptoms you noticed, numbers you measured, or facts you learned. Explain the first action you took, then the next one, and then the next, in the order they truly happened. Finish by saying what you would repeat and what you would change. Keep your tone factual and calm. This structure trains sequence memory, executive function, and language clarity all at once. With repetition, your brain becomes more efficient at retrieving the right step at the right moment, which is exactly what day-to-day self-care requires. 2 common mistakes undermine the exercise. The first is multitasking. If you try to recall while scrolling a phone, watching television, or cooking, you will get only a fraction of the benefit. Multitasking splits attention and weakens memory consolidation. Give yourself 10 minutes of single-task focus. The second mistake is jumping straight to a conclusion or a lesson without actively retrieving the steps. When you announce the point immediately, you skip the difficult part that strengthens recall. Force yourself to reconstruct the path you took, not just the destination. The difficulty is not a sign of failure. It is the signal that the brain is working where it needs to work. Moderate challenge is good, frustration is not. If you feel stuck, narrow the scope. Instead of recalling a whole year of changes, describe one appointment or one morning routine. If you need support, glance briefly at a calendar entry, prescription label, or a short note, then look away and continue from memory. Those objects are prompts, not crutches. Over time, reduce how much you rely on them. The goal is to reclaim fluency from within, not to memorize a script. You can perform the practice privately, but voicing it to another person once or twice a week adds a valuable layer of engagement. If you have a partner or friend, let them know you are doing a brief health recall, and that the purpose is to speak clearly, not to seek advice. Ask them to listen without interrupting. Then invite one clarifying question when you finish. That small social demand strengthens attention and working memory. If no listener is available, pretend you are explaining it to your future self. Speak with the same clarity you would use if you were teaching someone else to copy your steps exactly. Consistency matters more than intensity. 10 minutes a day for 3 months is more effective than an hour once a week. The brain changes gradually. Then suddenly, most people notice that they feel smoother and more organized in the second month. They find words faster and lose fewer details. External life confirms it when medication tasks feel less confusing, when it becomes easier to follow the sequence at an appointment, or when managing a calendar and transportation requires less mental effort. Those small wins are the point. Independence is built on thousands of clear micro-decisions, and this practice trains the machinery that makes them. You will strengthen the effect if you track simple markers at home. Once a week, set a timer for 60 seconds and name as many items as you can in a health-related category, such as fruits and vegetables, forms of physical activity, or body systems. Another day, try letter fluency by naming as many words as you can that start with a specific letter, skipping proper names and numbers. On a different day, test a short recall span by slowly reading yourself 3 unrelated health words, waiting 30 seconds, and then repeating them from memory. Record your results without judgment. You are not trying to beat anyone. You are building your personal baseline and watching it hold steady or gently rise. Seeing stability is motivating and gives you early detection if something changes and you need to talk to your clinician. If you hit a plateau, add a light challenge. Increase your spoken recall to 12 minutes, or describe the same event from a different angle, such as the facts you measured rather than the actions you took. If your energy allows, learn a small new health skill alongside the recall, like reading a nutrition label more carefully, mastering a breathing pattern for relaxation, or correctly positioning a cuff for blood pressure measurement. Pairing a new skill with narrative recall solidifies both. Your brain loves novelty, and it loves relevance even more. Keep the novelty safe, manageable, and directly tied to your well-being. Do not ignore your body while you train your mind. If you can walk safely, walk most days for 20 to 30 minutes at a comfortable pace that still lets you speak in full sentences. Walking increases blood flow to memory structures and helps regulate mood and sleep. If walking is not practical, chair exercises, gentle range of motion movements, or light resistance bands are good options. Hydrate adequately, especially earlier in the day. Favor meals that keep your energy steady, with fiber, healthy fats, and lean protein. All of this makes recall practice easier because it reduces the background noise of fatigue, dehydration, and blood sugar swings. Many medications affect memory and attention. Do not stop anything on your own. But if you feel foggier after a new prescription, ask your clinician whether an alternative exists. Certain drugs with anticholinergic properties can worsen memory, particularly when combined. Pain, poor sleep, mood disorders, thyroid problems, vitamin deficiencies, and infections also interfere with cognition. If your recall practice feels unusually hard for several days and you feel off in other ways, consider checking in with your care team. The right medical adjustments make cognitive training more effective. Privacy matters, and you are in control. You never need to share your recordings. If you use a phone, store memos locally and delete anything you do not want to keep. A small notebook kept in a drawer works well if you prefer writing. The content is for you, and the purpose is to build a stronger, clearer mind. Knowing that you decide what stays and what goes makes it easier to speak freely and train honestly. You might wonder why I insist on keeping examples health-focused. The reason is simple efficiency. Your brain has limited processing capacity, and you want to invest that capacity in the skills that protect independence. Managing medications and appointments, preparing nourishing food, staying active, tracking numbers that matter to you, communicating clearly with clinicians and family, and making decisions calmly. When you recall episodes tied to those skills, you rehearse the exact neural choreography you will need tomorrow. This is not about making a show. It is about making you steadier. There is another benefit most people don't anticipate. Structured recall sharpens thinking not only in the past tense but also in the future tense, because planning uses the same executive machinery as remembering. After several weeks of practice, many people notice that they prepare better for appointments, ask clearer questions, and make calmer choices. They feel less rushed because their thoughts arrive in order. Anxiety eases because confusion eases. When you can find your words, you can find your way. If you care for someone else, you can adapt this practice into a supportive routine without turning it into a test. Invite the person to walk through their health steps out loud while you sit with them. Provide one gentle prompt at a time, such as, "What came first?" or "What did you notice next?" Avoid correcting midstream. Let them finish. Then reflect back one clear strength you heard. If fatigue shows up, stop and rest. Respect is therapeutic. The goal is not perfection. The goal is participation. Every program works better with a start date. Pick today. Choose a time of day you can protect most days of the week. Choose a quiet chair and a simple prompt like one real health decision I made and how I made it. Take 2 calm breaths. State the time frame. Describe the cues. Walk through the steps. Say what you would repeat and what you would change. Stop at 10 minutes. Smile at the fact that you just did medical exercise for your mind. Do not chase a feeling. The feeling will come later, on a random morning, when you notice you found a word faster or you remembered a number without digging for it. That is how this work pays you back. I want to address one more concern that often holds people back. Some fear that recalling the past will stir up difficult emotions. That is a valid concern, and it is why the method here stays grounded in practical, manageable health moments and clear steps. If a memory feels overwhelming, choose a different one. You are in charge. You can recall a simple routine like preparing a week of pillboxes, setting up reminders on a phone, refining a bedtime ritual, or deciding on the best time to take a walk. There is unlimited material inside ordinary days, and ordinary days are what protect capacity. You may be tempted to skip days when you feel tired. On those days, shrink the task instead of abandoning it. 2 minutes of calm recall still signals to your brain that this matters. One sentence that states, "A health goal achieved today," is enough to keep the chain unbroken. Consistency teaches your brain what to expect, and the brain rewards what it expects with efficiency. As weeks pass, combine the practice with the rest of your care. Keep medical appointments, follow your treatment plan, and continue any therapies your clinicians recommend. This recall routine does not replace those things. It makes them easier to carry out. Think of it as the thread that ties your efforts together. With a clearer mind, every other healthy choice becomes simpler to start and simpler to maintain. If you want a tangible way to see progress beyond fluency tests, observe how your environment changes. A calendar that stays current, a medication system you can explain out loud without looking, a kitchen stocked with foods that match your plan, a walking route that feels automatic, a bedtime that arrives at a consistent hour. These are external signs that internal clarity is improving. Respect those signs. They are not small. They are the foundations of autonomy. You will also notice that conversations with clinicians become more productive when you can describe the onset, duration, and pattern of a symptom, when you can recall which interventions helped and which didn't, when you can state your goals clearly. You give your care team what they need to help you efficiently. Clear histories lead to clear plans. That saves time, reduces repeat visits, and decreases unnecessary testing. Your recall work directly improves your medical care. There is no finish line to this practice. but there is a rhythm that feels natural. After about 12 weeks, most people know if morning or evening recall suits them best, how long they like to speak, and what kind of prompts keep them engaged. At that point, you can tighten the routine or loosen it to fit your life. If travel, illness, or family events interrupt you, return gently. There is no penalty for pauses. You always pick up where you left off, and your brain always appreciates the return. If something changes, and you feel your abilities slipping more than they should, ask for help. New confusion, rapid decline, significant mood changes, a fall, a new medication effect, poor sleep, pain, vision changes, or infection can all impair cognition. Early attention prevents small problems from becoming big ones. The clearest mind is the one supported by good medical care, steady routines, and compassionate expectations. Everything I have shared is grounded in a conservative idea. Do the simple things that work, and do them consistently. Speak your real experiences in complete sentences for 10 minutes a day. Breathe calmly as you begin. Sleep at regular hours. Move most days. Eat in a way that keeps your energy steady. Treat hearing and vision problems. Keep your numbers where they belong. Avoid multitasking during your recall. Reconstruct steps before you summarize lessons. That is the whole method. It is unglamorous and extremely effective. If you commit now, you can make the next 3 months a period of gentle, measurable improvement. Start tonight or tomorrow morning. Set your chair. Set your timer. Choose one health event that truly happened. Give it a date. Name the goal. State the cues. Walk the steps. Name what you would repeat and what you would change. End the practice and move on with your day. The benefit you are building may show up when you expect it, or it may surprise you in the grocery aisle or at the pharmacist's counter when you find exactly the word or step you need at exactly the right time. You have more influence over your cognitive trajectory than you have been told. It does not require perfection or pressure. It requires small, steady signals to your brain that clarity still matters. Give your brain those signals. Protect your independence by training the networks that make independence possible. If you want to do one thing today that costs nothing, fits in your schedule, and supports everything else you value, do this. Speak your real experience out loud, simply and clearly, for 10 minutes. Keep going tomorrow. Keep going next week. Let the changes accumulate, and let your daily life confirm that the work is working. If this approach makes sense to you, try it for 7 days and notice what changes first. Some people notice speech becomes smoother. Others notice they feel calmer during appointments. Others realize they are misplacing objects less often. There is no wrong first win. Share the method with someone who might benefit, not to tell their story for them, but to invite them to speak their own. The mind responds to use at any age. Give yours the right work. You are worth the effort, and your future self will thank you for the clarity you practice today.